Welcome back to episode number 2 of the Transformation Podcast. In this podcast, we cover topics about transforming your life, including your wealth, your health, and relationships. Let me go ahead and introduce you a good friend of mine.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
How's it going, man?
It's going great. Jam-packed full day with full of activity. That's how I like to call it. I don't like to call it busy, but it's an amazing day.
Yeah, busy is a blessing, man. I had a pretty crazy day as well. I know what you're referring to. Frankelley, please tell me about you. Tell me what you do.
I am an entrepreneur by trade, but I focus more so on real estate. So the company I work for is Ep.2 Group Innovation. That's my broker, but I'm basically a one-man show. Basically cover all the operations when it comes to business, the marketing, helping customers start to finish. We basically help families find really good deals, really good homes near them or where they're looking to buy.
Primarily commercial or residential real estate?
Residential, yep. Residential. I do some commercial, more so like multifamily. For the most part, I stick to houses. But if commercial were to come, I have resources and Realty1 Group that I can tap into to help with commercial real estate as well. And also what makes me an entrepreneur is that I also invest in real estate myself.
Awesome.
And then at the same time, I also have a finance business because my background majority is in banking. So that's something that we share.
Yeah, for sure.
12 years of banking. And so I still have my licenses and I'm with Transamerica for that, helping families save money for their future and filling the need there as well.
Congrats, man. Congrats. So how did the transition happen? How do you go from banking to real estate? That's W-2 and like 1099.
Yeah, I know.
It's difficult.
It was a lot of variables, but I always been taught to have, emergency funds. I always had things in place, financially just savvy from just being around the space. When you're in banking, you come across a lot of people that pour into you a lot of different information that you need to succeed. You meet a lot of advisors that share their wisdom with you. And so with that, we had an organized budget, organized accounts, things for certain situations. And then there was a time where I really wanted to do something different, explore outside the box. I got my degree in business. So I knew I wanted to do business. I didn't know in what capacity in business administration, but I had this thing for real estate because I noticed that, there was a lot of value there. Normally where there's a lot of value, money is exchanged and then, there's great compensation for that. So I experienced it already in banking in the finance industry. But then I also saw it in the real estate space too. Most of the millionaires have real estate, and they get 90% of them get most of their wealth from real estate. So, I mean, things are changing now. There's different things like Bitcoin and all this other stuff. Yeah. But real estate it's been proven time and time again. So that's always gotten my curiosity. And then I actually did a flip with my father-in-law who put up the money because he was a realtor. He does it he was doing it part-time. And I was looking for a deal and I found it, or I found me, and we took action. I was going to take action regardless. And then he wanted a piece of the action too on a foreclosure opportunity. This was 2 years ago. We bought it together, renovated it, and made a crazy profit. It was like half of my salary on one deal that lasted like 2 months.
Wow, man.
So like those numbers just like.
Yeah, it throws you off a little bit, right? It grounds you. You're like, what am I doing in my current job?
After 12 years, and then like this one thing that I was just doing casually part-time. And I'm like, if I dedicated more time like this was one deal. If I can find at least one per year or two per year, and I'll do something else in the meantime, then that's all that I need. So that was the idea. And then speaking to real estate agents, I noticed that a lot of them have similar skill sets that kind of like were transferable. And I kind of like started reimagining myself in the space, like doing kind of like the same work that I would do honestly with like clients, and then doing the same thing for real estate in the sales space, so that I can get my income up, so that then I can go ahead and get my portfolio up, and then I can do whatever. Like the biggest thing that was a driving forced there though was family time because I have kids and
Got it.
I really saw the need of like just being around, doing more activity with them. And so that was for the most part the driving factor there. But those are the series of events that kind of like led for me to kind of like take off
Right.
and bet on
It,
myself or bet on this opportunity.
and it sounds like a very relatable, experience that you had. Like most of the folks that I've spoken to or, know that are in the real estate business, they usually have a combination of what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
They were in it to make more money because there's a lot of potential for new profit from helping other folks acquire their home. And also because of the flexibility they have in lifestyle, they reclaim their time back
Yeah.
because you own your own business.
It's a whole new lifestyle. So it's fully immersed.
Yeah.
You're 24/7 kind of, but then you also, that was part of the learning curve is that you're 24/7, but then you also have to, it's more like time blocking. There's this
Okay.
new format of how to approach things. And normally we would have a schedule in banking, but then here it's like you give yourself some more flexibility and yeah, it's more free form.
Obviously you had the ability to control your own time, which comes with a lot of benefits, but also has some drawbacks, right? Was that transition difficult for you, or was it something that was easy?
It was difficult because at first I'm so used to like going to a space and like, just being there the whole day and time blocking and then heading out. There's so much freedom that you kind of don't know what to do next, especially when there's so many components that you're still trying to figure out. So I had to train myself on what was important in the business, and that took a while. And then where I first started, I didn't really get much training, so I was just like spending a lot of time home and wasting time.
Yeah.
And so then I found the opportunity to join a different brokerage that did offer that, and then I got really good coaching that helped me time block and all that.
They helped you
So
with the
coaching
structure.
is key. Whenever if you're looking to get into this space, coaching is vital to success because if you don't know what you're paying attention to, you're not gonna do anything. Like that's
Yeah.
just in
Yeah.
our. It seems to be like in our nature.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a matter of having a system in place.
Yeah, finding a good system to model, something that's been proven. Kind of like the whole reason for me to go into real estate. It's something that has been proven over and over again to lead to great results. And same thing with our time. Our time is basically our real estate. Like it's
Yeah.
the time that we have available on this planet, and we have to make the best out of it. And if we don't really have a plan, or if we don't have a vision, then to create the plan, then we're just going to walk without any purpose. And normally that's a very lonely place to be.
Yeah.
So
That's such a powerful little nugget that you gave there. The fact that time is the actual real asset that we all have. And sometimes we just discount it, right? Because we think we have unlimited amount of time. When the
yeah,
reality is that whatever we have is the now because tomorrow's never promised. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so you mentioned what took you to the journey of real estate. However, I understand that when you start a journey, it's not so easy to stay committed to it. Talk to me about how you discover the passion that you have for real estate.
the same force that kind of like got me into it, that vision that I saw for myself of doing a similar activity in a different setting, and then seeing the potential of these deals and what it can do for you, what it can do for somebody's family. Just like that kept on like being in the back of my mind. And obviously we went through, we had a savings, and it wasn't, we budgeted for a whole year, and it took longer than a whole year. So it really got us to a very uncomfortable position where we're like, should we keep going or should we go back? That like right there, I was
Yeah,
I was just surrendering to the idea every single day to see what next steps should I take, and I don't want to go back into the box.
yeah, I get it. I get it.
And so I was like, I do not want that. uh, I do want this, but this is getting it. Like this is kind of like a challenge right here, a temporary challenge. And normally, I don't know, there was something about it that made me like see myself in a story where normally like it gets always to like a brink, and then there's like a breakthrough.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking that was happening. And I had to let go of something in order to get there. I had to have a little bit of fear, not fear, but I knew what
That
I didn't
caution,
want.
right? That feeling inside of like, did I make the right decision?
Yeah. So, and the way that I did that, well, the way that I see that now is that I know what I don't want. I know what's not for me. I know what's for me, and it feels right. So, like, I have my reasonings for this, I have my reasonings for that, and this is just a temporary roadblock.
Okay. So yeah, what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the passion came from what doing this transition showed you about yourself, right?
I had to see myself in it. Yeah. Everything that's happening around us is because we are seeking it inside our heart, inside our thoughts, or what's inside our thoughts is already automatically going on inside our hearts. So we technically are wanting what's happening
It's
in front
happening to
of
us.
us,
I
even
agree with
though
that.
it sounds crazy because, like,
No, no.
how do you want traffic? It's like, well, like so that's the way that I kind of see this. So if our heart is aligned and we know what we truly want and we believe it, then it's just a matter of time for things to reorganize itself, and for us to pay attention to take faithful action into like uh the destiny that we know that we're going to be a part of.
Very powerful again, man. I agree with that statement 100%. That's like the example when you want that fancy car, right? And all of a sudden you've never been looking for the car and it's in every corner. It was there all along. It's just your filter, your frame of reference wasn't looking for it.
Yeah, and
So very
believing that
powerful.
that you're worthy of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the hardest part, is to say that right there, I'm worthy of that. I can get that. I mean,
Yeah.
the income hasn't caught up with it yet, but I can get that. I don't know if it has to be through the income. Maybe somebody will give it to me. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that I can't have that.
One of my favorite segments in the podcast, it's when I get to ask you, what are some of the common misconceptions, right, that people have about real estate, and any specific one you would like to debunk?
In terms of like in getting into real estate, or just
Either
like
getting into it
what?
as an investor, or getting into it as a home buyer, or getting into it as in any capacity, right? As an agent. I can't buy a house because I don't know how to do it. I don't know what the process is.
Oh,
I
I'll speak
can't
on
get
that one.
into right. I can't get into the industry of real estate because I speak Spanish,
Yeah,
right? I don't know where to get help. Or I can't become a real estate investor because I got no money, right? These are
yeah.
some of the common misconceptions that I face in the bank
Mhm.
almost every day. So I can't imagine how many you face in your area.
Yeah, no, and what it is, yeah, definitely you need some awareness, because a lot of people want to buy real estate and they think there's only one way to do it. So you have to have really a heart and a desire for, and have a plan basically to for what you want. A lot of times people want the dreamy traditional home or something like that, and maybe it's not going to look exactly like that, or maybe there's a way to get something different to then get that dreamy home. But there's different ways to make it happen, and normally there's a few components. You need a game plan, you need capital, so you need funding, and then you need a great opportunity. It's like those three things. The first one is exactly what's the game plan. What is your capacity to navigate? Like if you're gonna do a rental, like what are your insights on rental? Are you listening to Bigger Pockets podcast? They do a lot of great stuff
Yeah.
on all facets of real estate. I highly recommend it. Um, and then once you have an idea, then we need to find funding. And for funding, it's not your traditional, like normally people go to the banks, and whatever the bank says, my banker said it. That's all I qualify. That's
Yeah.
it. So I also thought the same when I was in banking. Oh, if it's not FHA, traditional VA, like conventional VA, then
I'm
maybe
done.
it's not for me. I can't qualify. And if you want it bad enough and you have a really good deal, you can do things non conforming, or it's another way of doing banking. Like they call it bank statement loans. There's this product called a DSCR loan, the debt service coverage ratio loan, where basically the income from the home is what's needed to buy an investment property. Let's say if credit's an issue, then there's credit solutions that you can find at low cost that we're connected with too. So that's with the funding part. And then the deals, that's with the real estate agent. So the real estate agent is familiar with like location, where money's moving, where's new development happening, why is it important to be close to it or not so close to it, depending on like safe areas. It's good to have someone that is really well versed in the area. So like that your investment is safe. That's how you get the deal. And then when it comes to like managing a property, stuff like that, you don't have to do it yourself. If you have a good enough deal where there's enough margin or money between the mortgage you pay and the rent that you can collect, and you analyze that well with your realtor, then you can get a property manager in place. They get a little bit of a spread, but then you have the peace of mind that somebody's going to be able to take care of it. Now, when there's a will, there's a way. If there's either a great deal or if there's great funding, uh, everything else gets figured out.
Wow, that's
Right?
very cool.
Normally, everything can get pieced together as long as there's one of the three.
Makes sense. So you mentioned a lot of cool stuff, even that I personally have never heard about. For the audience, I think it will be beneficial for them to know exactly what a real estate agent could do for them in all capacities.
Yeah. So a real estate agent is here to listen to your desires. What is it that you really want? What is the ultimate goal? And help you game plan for it. So, look at things more from a timely perspective to get to the goal, the bigger goal, not just a short term goal, because there's more than one way to get to that one place than just that one way of doing it. I have this down payment money, I have this income, and all I want is that first house. It's like, okay, so we can get that. But if it's like, hey, I would like to generate more income, and then eventually I have like more of a 10-year plan, 5, 10-year plan. Okay, let's work with that. So let's focus on this right now. Let's get this underway, generate some income. The equity is going to go up. So
Right.
eventually you could tap into that equity as well. And you don't have to come out of your own pocket for it. If you go ahead and buy something also and you renovate it and then you uh, force value into it, and within 6 months you refinance, you can get all the money that you put into that one property. You have it rented, you have tenants, you have income going, and then you can just take that seed and put it into that next one. But you already locked this one in, and then you have the capacity to get another deal.
That sounds super interesting, dude. It's starting to sound like Grant Cardone there for a minute.
You got me on a roll.
Yeah, super cool. So for the looks of it, I'm still under the impression, right? I haven't bought a home in a while, right? Last purchase that I did was in 2017,
Mhm.
and back then the way that I experienced the real estate world was like I get pre-approved, I go to a real estate agent, and then I'm searching on Zillow myself because no properties are coming in. I need to get it done. Da, 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 da. Then I find a property I like. They take me to the house, and then I'm closing on it's gone. But from what you're saying, you have more of an advisory role where you're taking a look into the actual need of the client, drafting a plan, and helping with the execution. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Phenomenal.
that's normally how I open up every conversation. Like, what's the goal? How are you seeing this deal? And then they kind of like give me a gauge, like, oh, this is our first time, and we really are excited for this one aspect of it. It's like, okay, great. But if I see that they also have some other needs, I don't know. It's just the banker in me that
Yeah.
I, I'm like, what are you really
Yeah.
looking for, and what's in my wheelhouse to be able to offer you, and what is the most value that I can provide. So
That's
that's kind of
the mindset,
I
right?
listen to the language. I see the activity. They eventually have things that they're going on that they need to declare on the mortgage and all this stuff too. So sometimes I get involved with that because they come to me like, hey, they have these mortgage questions. I'm not a mortgage guy, but being in banking, you get so familiarized, and now in
Yeah,
real estate
for
with all
sure.
the different situations, and then you make recommendations as they come.
Phenomenal. I wanted to piggyback on something that you said, right? That first time home buyer. can you share any valuable tips to listeners who are interested on getting started, potentially buying their first home?
Yeah. If you're looking to buy your first home, you have to acknowledge what is it that you truly are looking for in a home. If you're looking to repurpose your rent money with mortgage and own something, we can get that, like we can accomplish that, no problems. It's fairly easy to do that, especially in terms of like product type. Let's say if you're in a condo and you want to be in a condo and you want the similar mortgage payment, like we can make that happen. But also if you see yourself more as an entrepreneur and willing to like find a way to get more cash flow, then we can go about things a little bit more differently. But ultimately, we need to find out what is the kind of home that we're looking for. If it is just, if it is the condo, like if it's that situation, the first step is to get pre-approved to see what's missing, that capital component, because you already have the plan. The plan is repurpose this rent money, and I want to buy something so I can build equity. That's normally the driving factor, and then seeing what we got to work with. See what's really there, and find. I normally go with a broker that can navigate everything, right? That can give us different options, the traditional options and the non so traditional options.
Got
See
it.
if it would make sense financially and meet that goal, which is the budget. Ultimately, it all comes down to the mortgage payment. So if we can make that mortgage payment possible, then we're winning. There's a lot of ways to navigate the deals. So normally, having someone that is a realtor that's strategic and helping them with the whole process, understanding what opportunities that they can be expecting to be looking for, creating the right expectations, helping them with the funding, having trusted resources that they work with that'll be efficient and effective in communicating the meanings of each thing. And then third, finding just getting it done, negotiating, making the dream come true, and not taking no for an answer when it comes to that. And that's pretty much the process.
That's awesome, man. Sounds like a streamlined process. You got it down to a nail. And I'm sure that then you could share some inspiring stories that maybe you've had, either client testimonials or like a personal story of your own that's had a lasting impact on you from the real estate business.
So yeah, I had hinted on the story a little bit earlier about how I had some buyers that had overcome some challenges, and for me, it was a testimony, a powerful testimony of how we went from like almost a brink of no possibility to the deal getting done. So I'll get into one of them. So a family member reaches out to me from New Jersey, and
Okay.
so they reach out and they're looking to buy their first home and they're looking to buy in Florida, and they're looking for a single family home. So they didn't want anything else, and they had a budget. And I'm like, and she had her heart set on it, like that it was a thing. And I'm like, okay. So she was looking for a certain price range, right? So we looked at price ranges and then we looked at homes. And she was trying to find something that is close to where her family is, here in like Pompano Beach area, and we couldn't really find what she was looking for.
He
And
was
then
looking for
she
something specific, man.
very specific, and in this area there wasn't that, right. There was a point where they saw the homes that I was sending and they were like falling in love with them. So they're like, we want to take a trip out there and we're like serious, like we're gonna get this done. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So I lined up like 3 or 4 homes. The new construction ones, they actually panned out to be a lot more expensive. And
Mm,
then so like out of like I had maybe 3 or 4 models that I was going to show, plus like 2 other homes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have like nothing to really see today. And they only came for like one day, like they were ready to go for one of the new construction ones. And then this one opportunity I searched up that same day, and we took action right away. We got it under contract that same day. I talked to the agent. We gave them what they want. We saw like that the history, and we used that to our advantage to see what the seller
over the price.
wanted. hmm And then so we made that offer, got accepted. What we didn't know was that there was a probate going on. There was this, a crazy story where the daughter, the owner of the house, passed away, and she was like 40 years old, and the mom inherited the house. And they said that it was already further along the process and that it would probably take 30 days. So we were good to go. We had that expectation, 30 days. Even if it took a little longer, that's fine, maybe like 15 days more. So the seller contacted the judge directly, or the whoever's the assistant of the judge out there, and they said, "Oh no, this process could take like 6 to 9 months." I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then towards the end, like the finance contingency and like for extending or locking the new rates, there's always a fee that needs to be paid for extension. So if we kept on extending it, there would be more fees, and that was going to like jeopardize budgets and like the mortgage payment, and it was getting a little hectic, and we didn't know how to piece it together. And also, they're moving down with kids and then work, doing a work transfer and all this stuff. Like they had work, we're going to start work in the
Everything
beginning of
was
May.
lined up.
Everything was lined up, so they had to reassess that. There was like kind of like this brink where it's like, well, think like the job kind of like was on the line, finances were on the line. There's like no
Wow.
hope in sight because we're like, oh, this is gonna take 6 months. Like these, like she's making these changes. Her husband's making changes, like quitting his job to like move and all this stuff. So they're
It
already
was over.
making a lot of. They have the moving truck ready. They got their stuff packed. Things are ready to go.
So when
Yeah.
did it turn around?
Right. So the next day.
Like when you
So
thought it was done, like no hope, this thing is dead, 6 feet underground. Then you got
yeah, I
the
was like,
call.
man, we're probably gonna have to find another house. We're gonna have to like start all over again. We're gonna find maybe a rental for you guys. And she's like, no, I am not. I am not doing it. This is it. This is it. And I'm like, okay. And she's, she has faith too. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is true. Let's go ahead and go with the motions. This is what, this calls for. We should do an addendum to extend. Let's extend. Do it. Boom. The next day, get the phone call in the morning. Frank, you're not gonna believe it. The
I would
judge
have been.
signed off. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, I got goosebumps. I'm like,
Damn, dude.
man,
Well,
that's one of those things that
it's
makes the home really like, you know, valuable.
yeah.
And it
Also
happened
the story.
that right. The climax, what? And then like now we're good. Yeah, the downhill was a good part.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, it sounded, it was beginning to sound like a horror story,
Yeah,
but I could see how it became super memorable because of, the final outcome, which at the end of the day is what matters, right?
right. And it was the next day after we had all those horrific ideas populating and all that stuff. And that's why we have to like keep moving forward and never take no for an answer. And then, eventually we'll come to the ultimate outcome.
Brother, the large majority of the listeners here would be people like, they like to read, they like to be educated, right? They're listening to this type of content. So what are some of the resources, maybe books or influential figures that you follow to stay involved, with the real estate business, finances as a whole?
I mean, so the Bigger Pockets podcast, I listen to David Green all the time,
Yeah.
just to get familiar with real estate investing and all the different nuances or real estate sales, because he is a real estate agent and investor himself. So he goes about things from both aspects and answers the questions in a very honest way, very very straightforward, not sugarcoating nothing. That's
Yeah.
what I like about it. Um, so that's good. A lot of self development stuff in order for just like becoming more self aware. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously my go to resource is the Bible.
Oh,
I use
nice.
that
Nice.
for reflection. Any business book, any inspirational book, I normally do a compare and contrast or find verses or things that I can really adopt and find new wording in my life so that I can get on the right path. And one that really has like tested that, actually I have it right here because I'm picking it up again, is Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, Napoleon Hill, man. Yeah, you can't go
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah. So now, so this, that one has been a really big one, because everything starts from ourselves, and then eventually we get into habits and things that we
Yes.
choose that helps keep a lot of the order in our life, because we always want control.
Right.
So the only way we technically don't have any control, we only have control over ourselves,
Yeah.
and we have to kind of like tame this the animal that we are sometimes.
Yeah. Tame the beast, you know?
Tame the beast.
And sometimes it's just the hardest thing, right? We want to get, just like you said, gain control over the environment, over the people that we interact with, whether, dude, we can't even control our own bodies sometimes, right? So it's a matter of controlling the one thing we can control, which is our thoughts and the way we respond to things.
Yeah.
So very powerful message. This leads, it's the perfect segue to my next question. In our industries, dealing with people and economic cycles, stuff like what's happening right now inevitably happen, right? The periods of stagnation, so-called recession, all that stuff. How do you stay motivated and continue to innovate in real estate despite of the challenges?
Yeah. I mean, whether in famine or in feast, there's always a need. There's always something that somebody needs. And the things that are proven over and over again, if there is a recession, there's going to be a need for safety. If there's a season of abundance, and that we can really grow and harness more real estate, more finances, more of anything, right? That we can really like accumulation period.
Yeah.
Then there's a need for that. Normally, a lot of people focus outwardly and get
Yeah.
distracted by news. But when it comes, like I had somebody today, I did a showing today, and this gentleman was like, why should I buy now? Um, you know, uh, News is saying all this stuff, and then I gave him some charts that we look at, some data in terms of like supply and demand, and then I'm like, look at this chart, and then it showed like kind of like a downward trend of housing supply, and it showed that where we're at right now is kind of like at a peak. So we're at a we're at a surplus, or technically the highest point where there's the most volume of homes per month, and we have roughly 1 million homes of inventory in the United States of America on the
Which
market.
is very little, right?
Very little. Normally should be like closer to two, like double. Um, so we're at that point, and then 60% of that is already under contract.
Wow.
So So if you take that into perspective, and we're at the top part, right, where there should be supposed to be the most amount, and we're in the summer, right, slowest part. So what do you think is going to happen? Inventory is going to again go this way. So home prices naturally are going to go up because of scarcity, and we're at 7% interest rate. We're at a higher interest rate than we were at the beginning of the year, and home prices haven't really budged. So now we're going to go on the other side now. And then there's, these talks of like interest rates coming down. So if interest rates come down, home prices will go up even more. That kind of gives a little bit of a hint of what's to come in the next 6 months, 8 months. And those are charts. I mean, like in any financial advice, it doesn't mean it's not going to change.
Right.
That we base ideas off of. But seeing the things that really matter for our particular investment, not like listening to like things that are kind of irrelevant. Oh, this person's going in office, this person's doing whatever. It's like, what's happening now? Because like, even if they go in office, like, how is that going to impact this situation? Like, what are also, as a business, looking at the home as an investment, what are the ways out? Can you rent this? Like, can you hold on to this for 10 years and rent it out if you were to buy it now at a high cost? Because eventually it'll come, it'll go through a wave and it'll come back up to the other side. Kind of like how we experienced in 2008. Or if you bought it now and it needed value add, and you bought it and you renovated it, would that make you feel a little bit better, knowing that you bought something at a lower price, you renovated it, you got it to your liking, now you're living in it, and either you can sell it right now for a profit, or within a few months for a profit, and you can get out of it and you can go ahead and rent. So there's like different strategies to approach purchasing a home from an investment standpoint. But again, everything is more specific and tailored to the person, just like finances are. Depending where we are in the wave, it's good to take into account that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people forget that they have the ability to pivot, change, to strategize, find new ways out, new ways up, and and prosper every single day.
No, sounds very interesting, man. So our listeners, right, are looking to transform their lives. And how do they do that? By transforming their wealth, health, and relationships. How, in your perspective, how can they transform their wealth through real estate in a few words?
I mean, the way that they can transform their wealth with real estate, I would say if you choose to use real estate as the vehicle to build wealth, you can get into it with a small seed, small amount of money, and be able to take those steps to plant that seed, reach out to the team that can make it possible. So normally, if you speak to one of the three, like the mortgage broker knows a realtor, everybody kind of knows each other. So you just need to take that one step and really want it, and know that you're capable of having it. Most of the time, we don't feel capable of building wealth because I'm just not good with money, or I'm just not good with XYZ thing. Neither were we. I mean, we were born naked. Like we didn't come with anything,
Yes, sir.
we all did. So it's just a matter of finding out those mentors, teachers, people that are put in our place, those angels that will take us to the place we want to go. But we have to know where we're going or where we want to go in order to find a path to get there.
Perfect. So have a plan and find some people, some good people in your corner to help you with the execution.
Yes.
Phenomenal. All right, my last question for you, and this is completely off of topic, but it's one question dear to my heart. This podcast is about personal development. So share with me some good advice, a good quote, something related to personal development that helped you transform your own life.
Every day we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. So every day we should always reflect on what we did every single day to learn about ourselves. We should work harder on ourselves than we do in our jobs, just so that we can overcome and become more. And also be still and know that you have a God, that there's a way to get to where you want to be. And you just have to be still to really hone in and listen to what's already around you. Because whatever's around us, at one point we wanted and we prayed for. So we have to acknowledge that. But we have to be still in order to see it.
Amen to that, brother. Frankelley, man, what a pleasure. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you for being here in episode number 2 of the Transform podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Phenomenal time. So what did you think?
It was great, man. This is great. I love this. I love to just speak, and because it just helps connect all the dots, especially when you're reflecting and connecting with individuals. It makes me feel, I don't know, it does something for us where we're
I agree.
the things that we've been through and put it into new wording, and it just it's a beautiful thing. And it really, if it lights a fire,